Camavinga recently left out of the France squad, and a lot of people have mixed opinions about it. So here am I. No, as a Madrista, I wish he was going to the World Cup because to me, this France squad is a better squad than last World Cup. So to me, they have a better chance winning it this season, even though Spain and Portugal also look very threatening as well. But all things considered, I would think that France will go far in the World Cup. And I'd love for him to be a special part about it. But a lot of people are wondering why he wasn't included. Makes me think that, wait, let's look back on the history or the past performances of Kamavinga. Now, when I went back and see what he did, right, for France, because what I begin to understand, there's a lot of country managers or like managers who manage internationals. They like to look at international form versus club form. So, for example, the Brazilian manager before Ancelotti, not Ancelotti, but before him, he looked at mostly international form versus club form when he's selecting his players. That's why Richarlison played over Firmino more often than he actually should, because for Brazil, Richarlison was undoubted, not kind of doubting, but undoubting at the same time, putting up better numbers than Firmino. That's why he was playing over him. And prime Richarlison, if there was such a thing, couldn't even touch any season of or any form of Firmino, but he was starting over him. I know there's other countries who prioritize country form over like club form. I understand it because what you're doing is how well you play within your team, the chemistry with these players is more important than to each their own. Right? So when we actually look back on Camavinga for France, you'll be surprised to know that he didn't actually do that much. No, Camavinga, as you may know, can play multiple positions, and he can play multiple positions. And the one he prefers to play is a six or a deep line playmaker or at eight, box to box. I think that's what he prefers. He doesn't want to play left back. Now, when he played for France, as we're seeing here on transfer market, let's go all the way up to the top, right? And then we see here he's on the bench in 2020. He's on the bench. He played mostly on the bench than anywhere else, right? Anywhere so else. As you can tell here on transfer market, we look at in 2020. He's 23, by the way. So in 2020, he was what 18. He was on the bench, and then in the Nations League, then he's played defensive midfield for 27 minutes, international friendlies, and then in the couple months, the next month, he on the bench, same thing again. Wasn't just not in the squad, not in the squad. And then his first real tournament was a World Cup. So the 2022 World Cup was his actually first World Cup. So in the group stage, he was on the bench against Denmark. He's on the bench. And I guess they won these two games. So when he actually played, they're already guaranteed that they're going to go through, right? But he played as left back and played full 90 and still lost the game. I remember that side was just resting the big players. I don't think France really care about playing all out on the last day of the group stages. It's something they did in 2018 as well. They won the first two games and did not care for the third game, right? In the run of 16 on the bench against Poland, against England when they won 2-1 on the bench. against Morocco on the bench, and then he played the final, the greatest final of all time, definitely up there. He was a left back, played 49 minutes. Oh, and as you can tell, left back as well, 90 minutes. Left back, 49 minutes. So it seems to me that when he plays for France, he's playing at left back, right? He, when he comes on to play defensive midfield, as you can see here, he's never going to start as a defensive midfielder. He never started as a defensive midfielder. If he starts, it's as left back. Now look at the Euro qualifiers. The first time he started a game as a midfielder was against Ireland, and that was 3 years ago, and they won, thank God. And then he came on against Gibraltar. Then he played and start again in Greece. So it seems to me that these two games in 2023 was the only games he actually started just as like a defensive midfielder and played the whole game. It seems to me that Deschamps wasn't impressed, right? Then he played against Germany, and then he played full 90, lost 2-1. His international friendlies, played full 90. I still think Deschamps is still, maybe he was impressed in these two games, but he was impressed. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions on why he's not selecting him for the 2026 World Cup. And then international friendlies doesn't matter. And go to the Euros in 2024. Played 90 minutes. Yeah. I don't know how he played in this match, but he was benched next match, and he only played for 90 minutes. Then came on against Poland, played for 29 minutes on the bench. He started against Portugal. Oh, okay. I wonder if somebody was injured or suspended. So it's the first time in a sports tournament, like an international tournament, the official one, and he played full 90 at CDM. Because in the qualifiers, he played CDM here. Is that an official tournament? I don't think so. And then here he started a game, plays CDM or center midfield where he wants to play. And then he played in the semifinals against Spain where he lost. CDM center midfield lost 2-1. I think it was an own goal by Kundes, Danny Olmo, and then Lamal put Rabio on skates. Yeah, and Column won a score for them. Yeah, I remember that game. Nations League in 2024. Knee injury. Defensive midfield against Israel. Didn't play full 90. CDS center midfield didn't play full 90. So for a good 2 years, or yeah, good 2 years or three, if I can count, he didn't play left back. He's been playing CDM and midfield, right? CDM or center midfield. And then in the Nation League's finals, there's no position here. Injuries. So what am I saying? This is what I'm saying. He doesn't look like he's playing consistently as a midfielder. And injuries recently kind of haunted him. And he is not playing full 90 as a senior. And it looks like he's not being trusted as he should as a midfielder. He's not being trusted, right? But so to me, how I look at it now, we see that he started about 4 games, started to play full 90 for at defensive midfield and center midfield, whether that is a deep line playmaker or the box to box. Um, he didn't play that position on when you think about Camavinga for France, every time you think about him is that World Cup final against Argentina. He played very well to me in that France. Not the best, but he did well enough. I was impressed personally. I liked it. Um, but it seems to me that Kamavinga, people want to sign him, not because of his goals, or people want to play him, whether anybody wants to sign him because he's might be leaving Real Madrid. But when you think about Kamavinga, you don't think about goals, you don't think about assists. The only thing that comes to your mind is utility, right? The thing that comes to your mind is he's a good player to have on the bench because he can back up any position. You don't think about Kamavinga as changing the game. You don't play a match and think to yourself, "Oh, I need Camavinga on the field." For France, not for Real Madrid, for France. And Real Madrid recently could say that. But you think about France, you don't need Camavinga. You went to two Champions League finals without Camavinga. Granted, in 2018, he was about what, 16 or 17? So, can just say one. You went to one Champions League without Camavinga. If Camavinga did not got called up to 2022, they would have still reached the final. I'm not saying they lost the final because of him, but they would have reached the final without him. So the credit in the bank for Camavinga for France is not really there. It's not. Sorry to tell you, it's not. We see it for ourselves. But it sounds to me that Deschamps went to Camavinga and said, "Hey, to get called up, you need to play left back. Are you willing to do that?" And I don't think Kamavinga said yes. I think he said, "I'm not playing left back. I think you have two Hernandez there already. Why would I need to, you know?" And then two, if you look at if does is Dersham looking at the season he's having for Real Madrid as a reason to say no to Kamavinga? No, I don't think so because some of the names, maybe, but I personally don't think so. But because some of the names are being called, I'm like, okay, you called him, but you didn't call him. Okay, if you called him, this has to be the metric, but that metric with that other player does not make any sense. For example, Coleman is not being called, and Coleman's best goal scoring season is this season. 18-19 was his only tally at Bayern Munich. Coleman scored 10 goals. He scored 15 this season, and he's still not caught, despite being well, even though he's playing in the Saudi league. So I don't know if there are conversations being had behind closed doors, but it looks like Camavinga refused to play left back, and he said, "If you're not going to play left back, you're not going to play for France because the midfield is stuck." You have Wayne Zemery, the PSG player. I can't pronounce his name. I do apologize for that. Conte is playing. Tucha Mane is playing. Hope he doesn't beat up the captain, even though it's Mbappe. And then you have the midfield is taken care of. Is taken care of. So, am I surprised? No. Does it make sense? Uh, Not including Kinsey Coleman makes less sense than not include. I can understand why he's not called. I understand it. It's not a shock value. It's not like calling Neymar for Brazil makes more sense than calling Camavinga for France. But it's a sympathy thing. It's a thing where you say to yourself like, I can understand, but for the feel good value, you might want to include him for the feel good value. So, what do you guys think? Should Kamavinga been called up? I don't think so. I said it's a bit harsh, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more.